as Democrats instead of independents who lean Democratic. That is, they are far more comfortable with more moderate Democrats in the establishment than other Democrats are, especially whites. Now, obviously, it's possible for progressive challengers to win a primary even with this difficulty, see Ocasio-Cortez, but until candidates like Nixon and Sanders solve their black voter problem, they're going to be limited in their electoral victories. Now, the underlying implication of this article isn't subtle at all. What he's saying here is that, if black voters self-identify as more moderate or conservative, and progressives clearly aren't able to reach black voters in a way that progressives would make themselves more electable is if they become more moderate. So if they stop being progressive, that'll make progressivism in general more marketable to black voters. But if you take progressivism away from the progressive candidates, then you have nothing left. But this assumption here...
Okay, I mean, that's just not possible, right? And the fact is that the reasons, plural, that black voters are not flocking to progressivism as quickly is because they don't even understand it. I mean, first of all, we've picked up an enormous amount of black voters, the progressive movement has. But the problem with the black community is, even compared to like old white people, they are the most dumbed down. I mean, they do not have, generally speaking, in the progressive circles that I'm on the internet, which is where we've made our ground, right? This is our battleground on the internet. This is what's made us so popular in the last, year and a half, 2 years since the election. There aren't that many black people. I mean, there's some, and they definitely already are all for Bernie. But generally speaking, the black population is incredibly dumbed down. I mean, I talk to a lot of black people in the middle class, maybe just barely over into the upper middle class, in neighborhoods where I go and stomp and stump and stuff, places where I'm active. And I can't tell you how many of them voted for Trump. I mean, what the fuck, right? And these are intelligent people with jobs that pay pretty well. It's just mind-boggling. And, the truth is when you talk to them, what you find out is that they're tired of being oppressed and fighting and not having enough money and all this kind of stuff. And they see themselves as fitting in now, and they don't want to upset the apple cart. And to be honest, they don't really care about other black people. And then if you go into the poorer areas, where the hoes and the pimps are, and they're not black, they're white. They're white people living in black communities. But if you go into the poorer areas, what you find is people who don't know anything. So the rest of the blacks, out of the people you talk to, some of them might say they'd vote for Hillary Clinton because they've just heard the name over and over and over for the last 20 years, right? I don't know any better. And they don't understand politics, and they understand that they need help. But to be honest, they don't get enough from government programs to make it worthwhile voting for that kind of help. And most of them don't even vote. I'd say 50% of them at least do not vote at all, and that includes the white people down in the bad neighborhoods too. I go and talk to people in, because I'm in Lexington, Kentucky right now, and I go down to there's like 3 neighborhoods, which I keep tabs on some people in there and talk to people in there. There's one downtown, and it's big, off of Winchester Road, everything on over. It's a lot of black people, and they're not doing well. And then there's 2 other kind of like like black welfare communities over here on where I live, where I've lived ever since I've lived in Lexington. And one of them's off of Tate's Creek, and the other one's they're identical. They were obviously built to house low income. And there's a couple of other, and the other one's off of Alumni, and there's a couple of other little, like basically Section 8 housing places in town, mostly around here. So, out of those people, they're all over the place. You talk to them and they're just like, I don't know. It's like there's no rational train of thought that you can follow when it comes to politics. Most of them have heard of Black Lives Matter. Most of them understand the persecution of all of us, but of black people in black neighborhoods. I'll say this, other than myself, I don't see any Bernie-crats roaming around trying to spread the word. So that's probably the biggest problem. We gotta get the reboot army going. That's gonna change everything if we can get that.